stinks, clean it up. That's the name of a campaign I started at the age of 8 years old with my younger sister Ella, who was 6. Now, this was a campaign run literally from the back of a push scooter. We saw a problem in our local area, something that needed to urgently change, something that we felt we could take action against. Dog poop. Yeah, that's right, dog muck. As responsible dog owners ourselves, we were fed up of having to dodge dog poop on the way to school. It was disgusting and unhygienic, and we wanted it to stop. So we took action. We got up early each day before school, dragged out our parents, and headed off spraying dog poop in bright orange spray paint. We also put up posters explaining the dangers of it to children, and even left bags tied to lampposts so that dog walkers had no excuse not to clean up after their dog. And that was it. The It Stinks, Clean It Up campaign. Catchy, right? But the simplicity of this title sums up in essence what kids do best. Say it as it is. Why package something up with pretty messaging? Kids don't do that. They speak with frankness and with honesty, straight to the point. There's something powerful in making an issue clear and understandable to all. It brings us together behind a shared feeling. It unites us and turns shared emotion into positive changes resulting from people taking action together. A passion for change followed by action for change. A passion for change followed by action for change. This power of clear communication is the foundation upon which we built Kids Against Plastic, a charity I co-founded with my sister back in 2016 when I was 12 years old, and have co-run since then for almost a third of my life. Our charity aims to take the overwhelming issue of plastic pollution and break it down through simple communication and simple actions. Just as we did with our campaign against dog poop, we started small. We began by just litter picking on the streets where we lived as a first step towards making a difference. Since then, through giving talks, creating resources, and running initiatives that break plastic pollution down into an issue that's simple and understandable, our small campaign has grown into a charity that has engaged and supported youngsters to take their first steps into positive environmental activity, or helping to save the planet, as they often see it. From this young age, I learned an important point. If you want to get people to listen to your voice, you keep both your message and your actions simple. Simple enough for a child to understand. It makes sense, doesn't it? But when you consider the most immediate threat to mankind today, the climate crisis, there's a distinct lack of clarity that's leading to a distinct lack of action. Every day, humans are releasing 162 million tons of man-made greenhouse gas pollution into our thin shell of an atmosphere with extreme consequences. 19 of the 20 hottest years on record have occurred since 2002, and flooding and extreme rainfall now occur 4 times more often than in 1980. And yet, whilst the impacts of our changing climate are clear to see, the language and communications around climate change are often deliberately technical, complex, conflicting, and confusing to the point that many of us, maybe the majority, feel detached, hopeless, and helpless. The end result? Disengaged and disempowered citizens and frighteningly sluggish action from governments and business. The kind of sluggish action that got us into the desperate reality of a climate crisis. Now, it's true, climate change is complicated and scientific, but if we are to have a chance of getting through this threat, we need to crunch it down into its most basic and actionable elements so that everyone can understand it and know their role in combating it, which includes lobbying for political and corporate change. Holding our big businesses and world leaders accountable is as important as individual action. I've seen through my work with young people as part of Kids Against Plastic just how effective communication can be. The power that young people hold when they understand and are connected with an issue, and the positive changes that they can make when they take action in their own lives to address it. Take Matilda, Rue, and Harry, for example. They are only 7, 5, and 3 years old, yet already lead their parents on local litter picks. As does Ali from Spain, who's 8. She picks up on her school run and shares her top tips as part of her dad's climate-themed renewable English lessons. Thomas is only 10 years old, and yet he pulls on his waders and heads into his local river to pull out plastic litter, which he loads into a trailer to take to his local recycling facility. 11-year-old Sky has already had her first taste at campaigning against plastic toys on magazines. Her petition has had over 60,000 signatures, with one UK supermarket already listening and agreeing to ditch magazines with plastic toys. And 11-year-old Anaya is a shining example of the positive impacts that kids can make. She's already consulted her local MP, appeared on TV to speak about her environmental activity, and hosts her own fortnightly radio program. Matilda, Rue, Harry, Thomas, Sky, Ali, and Anaya are just a few of the kids part of our Kids Against Plastic Club that is over 170 members strong and growing. There are many stories like theirs that I could share, and they are all connected by one powerful driver: an intrinsic motivation to take action now. A passion for change, followed by action for change. And not only do these young people have an important role to play through their own actions to help the planet, but also through the gateways that they provide to engaging their family and friends. Because, let's be honest, there's nothing that gets you questioning your own commitment more than a child walking up with a litter picker, almost the size of them, saying, "Let's go for a cleanup." It's incredibly inspiring to witness young people prove that age is not a barrier to taking action for what you believe in, and how they get the need to start right now. I mean, why would we wait? Why just talk about a problem and put off doing something about it? That doesn't make sense to kids because it doesn't make sense at all. Especially when you consider the way our modern world has developed over the last century in particular, where it's increasingly being left to young people to do the work that those in power should have done years ago. Take, for example, the UK government's 2022 plastic targets for schools. Back in 2018, the Education Secretary at the time set UK schools the challenge of eliminating unnecessary single-use plastic by 2022. And then did absolutely nothing. It's nearly the end of 2021, and UK schools have still had next to no encouragement or support from our government to actually meet the government's own target. All adult talk, no adult action. And so our charity, Kids Against Plastic, has decided that it's down to us kids to take the action necessary to meet this target. As of November 2021, we have 1,250 schools signed up to our Plastic Clever Schools program, a completely free initiative that helps schools to meet the government target whilst bringing together teachers, pupils, local councils, and communities in the process. The aim of the Plastic Clever Schools initiative is to help as many schools in the UK and beyond to cut down on their top 4 problem plastics through tailored resources and a website that breaks down the steps, allows schools to share progress, and encourages collaboration towards a smarter use of single-use plastic, or being plastic clever, as we like to call it. Importantly, this program is a child-led initiative, a collaborative scheme that encourages participation of kids of all ages and abilities to come together, develop their skills, and plan and execute the change that they want to see in their school. It's a chance for kids to bridge the gap between the government's empty target and the solution needed. And whilst the programme may currently be UK-focused, we're already collaborating with teachers internationally to use environmental education through the Plastic Clever Schools initiative as part of English as a second language education. I'm confident that if we can nurture children correctly, empower them with the skills and the tools that they need to believe that their voices matter, that their ideas matter, that they have a right to express how they think their future should look and input into the decisions that will affect that future, then they can have the power to bring about large, positive change. But what do we see instead of this? A factory-esque approach to education systems where children from ever younger ages are required to sit down and be quiet, to conform, not express. We see that governments and world leaders won't take young people seriously. Those who have the power to make the urgent changes the world needs, the very people we need to listen. This was epitomized in 2019 when only 10 out of 300 UK government ministers turned up to Parliament for a debate in response to the youth climate movement in the UK that year. That means that less than 4% of government ministers thought it important to listen to the voices of thousands of young people making their voices heard on climate action in the UK. Less than 4%. That's not just shocking, that's incredibly insulting. A shameful insult to young people who are desperately trying to preserve our planet for our generation and for future generations to come. And yet, despite how frustrating this is for young people, and how dire the environmental predicament we are in is, I remain hopeful and optimistic about what I see forming on the horizon. 3 elements coming together to create the perfect storm for radical youth-led change. Firstly, young people of all ages are realizing the potential they have, that they hold an untapped energy previously disregarded by an outdated expectation that you've had to go to school, get a bachelor's degree, get a master's degree, probably even a doctorate before people will listen to what you have to say. Not anymore. Next, young people are the digital natives. My generation is the first in history to be born into a world of unbridled access to the networks that connect us all together. Change that would previously have happened locally is now global. I've seen this firsthand through Kids Against Plastic. We've been able to meet weekly via video call with kids from around the world, from Australia to Indonesia, from the USA to Spain. Kids that would have never had the chance to speak to each other, never mind work together, and now connected in a positive space that encourages collaboration and unites us across continents. And finally, we have our burning platform, our burning earth. We are rapidly counting down the years until we reach the climate tipping points that will signal large, irreversible change to our planet. If I, or Ali, or Inaya were to wait 5 or 10 years to get into a conventional leadership role through which we could take action against climate change, it would already be too late. Many people around the world are already experiencing the devastating consequences of the climate inaction of previous decades today. So we can't afford to wait. Either we take action now, or we lose the chance to reverse this crisis forever. So there are 3 strong forces in effect here: empowered youth, digital connection, and a burning platform. But what binds these 3 elements together? What's the connection? Well, at the eye of this storm are the deep-seated values that lie in a growing number of young people today. Values of equality, justice, and sustainability. Values bigger than our own fears or anxieties. Aspirations not driven by remaining in power, profit, popularity, or maintaining the status quo. Passion that not just expects change, but demands change.